Hi, my name is Noel and I'm a queer youth leader.
Hello, my name is Oliver and I'm a trans guy who make videos about LGBTQIA plus people where they get to talk about anything they want that somehow relates to them being queer. I am currently on the countryside of Sweden where my boyfriend lives, but I recently spent a weekend in Stockholm to hang out with my friend and his cats. While I was there, I also took the opportunity to meet up with a couple of amazing queer people who agreed to share their stories with me and my camera.
So my name is Nahuel Eli Martinez and I will turn 28 in a few days. My pronouns are he, him and they, them, and I identify as non-binary trans man.
This is what it means for Noel to identify both as non-binary and as a trans man.
I feel most comfortable with the masculine side of myself, and I was assigned female at birth, so I'm going through a transition right now, but I also identify as no gender sometimes, so that's where the non-binary comes in. But most days I feel and identify as a man.
Noel has chosen to talk about his studies and his job.
I am studying to become a youth leader. In Swedish it's called fritidsledare. I have not found any good translation word for it in English. A fritidsledare is basically a youth leader that works with young people on their leisure time, so after school. And we have these youth centers here in Sweden that are open for people, and I work in one here in Stockholm. I usually work from 4 o'clock until 11 at night, and we are open for young people from the ages of 13 to like 16, and it's a free open space where you can do basically what you want: arts and crafts, you can play video games. We also have these discussion clubs sometimes. You can come and bake. It's to have like a safe space for young people.
And Noel really wants to continue working with this.
Well, my goal is to work with young queer people and to give them a safe space and to be an adult that they can look up to and have like an adult that they can also feel safe with, because a lot of young people today, they don't always have their parents at home or like an adult that they can feel safe with, or sometimes they feel safe with them but they don't have the time to give them after school. So I want to be like an adult that can give young people a safe space and someone that they can come and talk to, and that also have the time to talk. That is like a big part of my work, is making good relationships with young people so they feel safe.
It feels especially important for Noel to do this as a queer person.
Well, it's very important for me to also be like a representation of queer people, is because like when I grew up, I did not see queer people working with young people as much. It's very important to be a representation for the young people that maybe don't feel safe all the time with the cis heteronormative adults. But it's also very, very strange being that adult that is supposed to be a safe space when oneself is going through changes. I just started my hormone treatment, so I'm going through my second puberty. It's very strange because your body's changing and like you have these emotions that you had when you were younger, but now you're an adult, so you can kind of understand what you're going through, but you cannot do anything about it. So it's very, very funny and strange and a bit sad sometimes that like I'm going through this change and like a lot of stuff is happening. At the same time, I need to be this adult that is responsible and like a safe space for young people. But I also think a big part of being a safe space is showing vulnerability. And like I also tell my kids, like, today I don't feel well because I'm going through like changes, and it's okay to not feel well. And I expect them to tell me when they are having a bad day too. So it's like a safe space to be open about your feelings. I think that is a thing that we usually don't show young people, like vulnerability.
Noel is a well-liked and respected leader, and this is what that feels like for them.
It's a very powerful feeling when people say that they look up to you I feel very grateful, but sometimes I feel also very scared, because with that comes responsibility, and with that it comes like, I think we as people think we always have to be our best, but I think also I have to always check myself to think that like, okay, maybe it's because I am vulnerable and I am honest with how I feel sometimes, that they look up to me, and I'm not this stiff person that is always like, you need to do this and that, and this is not allowed, and don't cry, or like just be happy, like, and I don't want to be that type of person. I don't think people really look up to those people. I feel very respected and like somehow loved when people say that they look up to me, and showing like love is a very huge part of me. It's also like a huge part of my background, how I grew up, like love and respect and be forgiving. So it fills me with like love and warmth when people look up to me, but also like I get scared because I think like, oh no, now I have to like be more. But I don't. I just need to be myself. And that is like a struggle, I think a lot of people working with other people and have responsibility of other people. I think a lot of us, we think like, oh, we need to be our best, but our best is sometimes just being ourselves.
Noel also works as a leader for a group of queer teens.
I also have the privilege to work with a queer LGBTQ group in my work. It's very nice to give that space, like to have a separatistic day or like a safe space for just them. And they have also told us like, this is our space and we can just be ourselves, and we don't need to like think about people looking at us as the odd ones. And like we try to work with like all of our groups to not have that mentality that like LGBTQ people or like people of minorities, that they are strange. But like I think a lot of minorities needs to have this separatistic space where they can just relax and feel safe and like talk to each other without like needing to have this wall that we sometimes build up, because we don't always feel safe out in the world. So that is very nice to like be able to work with the kids and give them something that I needed and that I didn't have when I was young. And that is very important for me. That's also why I want to work with young people, to give them a space that I didn't grow up having, because I'm privileged enough to feel safe out in the world right now. And there's so many people that have worked before us to make us feel more safe, but also in today's climate we're like regressing a bit in some parts of the world. So I want to be part of the change that makes like the world a kinder and a better place for our young people that really need that, no matter like religion or like background or identity or like whatever. I just want to give like all young people a safe space, but like especially because I'm queer, I feel more responsible to work with queer people and to give them a representation and give them a safe space, and an adult that also have a similar background or stuff that they are going through, I went through, and I didn't have an adult that could guide me. So I'm very blessed and I'm very like honored to be able to be that person for them.
We're going to end this video with a couple of tips from Noel to you if you're a queer person who wants to work as a youth leader.
Just be yourself and like believe in yourself. And also I think it's very important to find your people and find a safe space for yourself and work with yourself, because like self-improvement is a lot of the work that I'm doing, and it's a lot of the course that we are taking in my class. We don't work a lot with how we're gonna work with young people. We're working with ourselves and how we are with ourselves and with other people. So I think like be kind to yourself, work with yourself first, and find your safe space and find your people, so then that you also can be that person for someone else. I think that it's very important. Like it's very hard to work with people if you don't feel safe and if you don't feel that you have a support system. And of course I have a lot to work with still, but like I will never be finished. But I think like we need to build like a good ground to build up from.
If you enjoyed watching that video, please like, comment, subscribe and share the video. I really appreciate you showing your love in that way. If you also want to support the channel financially, that's possible via Patreon, but really no pressure. See you next time!